Keep doing it. Oh. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Why I Rise. Thank you once again for joining me. Please don't forget to like, share my videos, and also subscribe to my channel. Oof, it's quite hot here. It's a lot of bugs. It's quite hot here today in Saskatchewan. I believe the weather is it's 35 degrees today, so quite hot. And very soon we'll be going into the winter. Let me turn this thing around for today. Very soon we'll be going into the winter time, so we enjoy the weather when it's beautiful like this. By all means, we go out and we explore. So this is a piece of land behind me. It's quite huge, eh? I think that's somebody's farm. I can see like a house. If I go forward a little bit, no, those are trees, but it is somebody's farm, because if you look this way, there's like a, I don't know what they do, they mine oil or whatever they do. I think it's a farm, but it's quite nice out here. It's very peaceful. So I just want to talk to you guys today about, life here abroad. And there's a lot of butterflies and other things, grasshoppers, everything. You name it. Oh my gosh, they are here. It's very breezy though, so it's nice. Oh, it's a beetle. I can't with these bugs. Oh my gosh. Life here in Canada. A lot of people, please don't mind this. It's a little stain. A liquid drop or something. Juice, I think. So life here in Canada is actually, from an immigrant perspective, okay, speaking as someone as someone who's an immigrant, I can tell you that life here is not as people back home think. And when you say that, I know a lot of people say, oh, no, it can't be that bad because it's abroad. You literally pick money. You literally pick money from the floor or something. Trying to dodge the bugs. Sorry, guys. So it's abroad. What are you talking about? If it's so bad, how come a lot of people, everybody back home, even the child born today in Ghana is looking to travel outside of Ghana and come to abroad today, okay? And that's all the misconception that I try to tell people. If you are a young person and has basically, I'm going to turn back because there's too many bugs flying around, like grasshoppers, beetles, you name them. They're all flying around. I'm going to go back to the vehicle. But look at that land behind me. Isn't it massive? Yeah. It's quite massive. So, boy. I'm gonna turn back. Too many bugs. And yes, we do have grasshoppers here in Regina, Saskatchewan. We have, what else do we have here? I see a lot of rabbits too. I see a lot of rabbits. They're very common here. Yeah. So basically, when you tell people that life abroad is not as easy as they think, they say that's a lie. The majority of people back home have that perception that it's not, it can't be that bad. But I always tell people that if you finished your education and you have your job, it's a matter of how you budget most of the time, right? If you're making decent amount of money, even if it's not decent, but you figured you can save a little bit. Sorry about the noise, but you figured you can put away some money to start up your own business. I think that it would help. And in that instant, you can even plan to come abroad for a vacation. Right? You can plan to come abroad for a vacation instead of thinking that, oh my God, I have to travel in order to be successful in your life. I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be that way. because life abroad, like the way you're looked at as an immigrant. It doesn't matter if you're born here. It doesn't matter how well you speak. They look at you as an immigrant because you're not the same. You don't look like them, right? So it becomes a little bit of a challenge getting a really like high-end paying job, for example. That becomes a challenge at times. And I try to encourage people that success really starts with the mind frame. It doesn't matter if you're back home, if you have a good, decent job. Go to my vehicle. Too many bugs. What flew in here? Ooh. Alrighty. So if you have a decent job, a job that pays you enough, it's a matter of your expectations and how you plan, right? How you plan, and also what you expect out of life. So always think about like what you want out of life. It's a mindset, right? Nothing happens without a changing of the mind or something that, something happening to your heart. Like if you have no desire in your heart to do anything other than what you're doing and you're comfortable where you are, then great. But if you have this desire in your heart to do something or become more than you are right now in terms of success, then it starts with really the changing of the mind and the heart too. Even if you look at, like for some of us out here, when I say some of us out here, I mean some of us abroad, it's really like a catch-22 in a sense that when you look behind you being where you're from, Ghana, you look at the level of, improvement, let me say infrastructure, the level of infrastructure there and the lack of it, the lack of proper infrastructure, and you say to yourself, what choice do you have? Now, I was back home, I believe last year. What year are we in? 2001? Yeah, I think it was last year. I was back home and I saw how people were, like some people, a lot of people didn't have much, right? And how the roads look like. It's just hospitals. How many hospitals do we have? Major hospitals do we have in Ghana? You can probably count all of them on one hand. So I looked at all of these things and I said to myself, what really do I have to fall back on back home? What really do I have to fall back on? And then I got back here to Canada, and when I got out of when I came out of the airport waiting for my ride, I looked at the cleanliness of the street, for example. This is just one example, okay? The cleanliness of the street. I saw how clean it was, and it was just, it's like systems were put down properly here in Canada and in elsewhere, like abroad, like the UK or the United States. And when I say systems were put down properly, like the infrastructure, the road infrastructure is good. The healthcare infrastructure here in Canada is really good. And I think the UK too. I don't know about the US because I think they don't have a universal healthcare system. You have to pay out of pocket or some insurance. It's a whole thing that I don't really understand. But I know it's not a universal health coverage in the US like it is here in Canada and some places in for example, UK. So I looked at all of that and I said, I realized that when you're here and you're an immigrant, like you're called, it doesn't matter, like as long as you have a different whatever, like you don't look a certain way, they look at you as, okay, you're an immigrant, you came from somewhere, so you're always regarded as an immigrant, and that comes with a certain amount of stigma attached to that. And I think that also plays into the fact that like when it comes to job, and I've made several videos discussing, if you have a good job back home, is it really worth it for you to travel abroad and face certain things that you wouldn't otherwise face back there, right? So, but that's another video. So I asked myself, like I said to myself when I came out from the airport, that really when I look behind me back home Ghana, what is the system there that I can say really and truly, if something was to happen here, if one day the government of Canada woke up and decided all people that are non-Caucasians should go back to their country, right? What would I be going back to? I asked myself that question. Although Ghana is any kind of food that you want, like when you grew up with those certain kinds of foods, you can get those foods. But that's because I'm coming from somewhere that allowed me to have a lot of change in my pocket to be able to afford those foods. But what if I was there and I didn't really have a good job and was struggling to get by? Like, even not struggling to get by, what if the government of Canada one day decides to wake up and say everybody non-white should go back to where they came from, their country basically? What do I have to fall back on? Because our systems there made by the the government there, like the systems they put in place, like the healthcare, the road, as you all know, it's not that proper. Okay, it's not proper. Let's not talk about that. It's not proper. Like, there's a lot of dust on the road, potholes, some roads don't even have pavement on it. So there's a lot of things happening back there that, and then let's get into healthcare, the education system. Like, there's a whole lot of infrastructure that hasn't been cared for by the people who are in control. And so you ask yourself, what kind of system are you returning to? There's no bribery system here that I know of in Canada, but back home everything is money. You have to give somebody a lot of something before they'll do ABC for you. And so I asked myself, what do I really have to return to? Like, and here you're regarded as an immigrant, so that, like I said, there's a certain type of stigma. So my advice to myself at the airport was, you really just have to humble yourself, because at the end of the day, although they say Canada belongs to all of us, there are certain things when you're in it, you realize it's not all fair game. But at the same time, if I look behind me, meaning if I say I want to go back home to Ghana, what do I have to go back to? Poor infrastructure, poor healthcare, poor education system, terrible roads, system that is full of corruption and bribery. So I said I have to remain humble here in Canada. It doesn't matter how I speak. At the end of the day, I'm still looked at as an immigrant. Speaking from personal experience, I don't mean that's everybody who traveled outside of Canada, that's their experience. Everybody have their own personal stories, but this is my experience. At the end of the day, I just have to humble myself in someone's land. As much as we would like to think, oh, this is my land too and I belong, blah blah blah, at the end of the day, you are made to feel like it's not your land. And so if you want to fight, like if you want to be all I have a right, no, because the system will tell you you don't have that right, and that will be made clear to you. So what do? And I looked behind me from where I was coming from when I got to the airport here in Canada, and I said, I just have to be humble. Keep my head down, take whatever, all the BS that comes your way, and be humble, because at the end of the day, there's nothing behind you to go back to. Until Ghana gets to the point where they can put certain proper infrastructure in place, it's a question of what do you have to go back to. All right, well, thanks for joining me today. Hope you join me next time for another chit chat. Thanks, bye.